Do you want to maximize your success with NCUA? Join Mark Treichel as he shares with you the insider's view on passing your exam with flying colors. The With Flying Colors podcast is sponsored by Credit Union Exam Solutions by Mark Treichel. If you would like to work directly with the Credit Union Exam Solutions team and receive support to optimize your results with NCUA so you save time and money, visit us at marktreichel.com to find out more.
Hey everyone, this is Mark Treichel with another episode of With Flying Colors. This is going to be a quick take, and I am recording this and publishing this on January 30th, and it relates to NCUA's Supervisory Priorities letter to credit unions, which I talk about a lot on my podcast on LinkedIn. I did 2 podcasts on it last year, essentially when I launched, where I had 2 of my team members, Steve Farr and Todd Miller, chatting with me about the priorities and their take on them. And FYI, we will be recording a similar podcast to that later this week for publication in February. But first, why am I publishing this on January 30th and recording it on January 30th? Because first, I want to alert you that NCUA is doing a webinar on this topic, this letter tomorrow, the 2023 Supervisory Priorities. You can sign up for that at ncua.gov. My team and I will be listening to it because, as always, NCUA will say some things, some verbiage that wasn't actually in the letter, which will give you some window on the intent of the board, the intent of staff, and maybe help predict some things that might happen during your exam. So sign up for it. If you don't sign up for it, don't worry about it, because I will discuss my take on it here in a future podcast. So real quickly, in addition to that, I wrote a post on LinkedIn that I want to speak to here. So last year, I spoke a lot about NCUA increasing to 11 priorities, and that previously over the last 5 or 6 years, the most number of priorities that NCUA had was 7 or 8 in a letter to credit unions, and that I was pleased that they were dropping back down to 6 from 11, because when you have that huge increase and you don't increase staff and credit unions don't increase staff, as it's often said, when everything's a priority, nothing's a priority. I'm glad to see that NCUA moved back from 11 priorities to 6 priorities, and I will speak to those 6 priorities on a future podcast. But here I wanted to touch upon the fact that I thought I would take a look at, okay, of those 5 that fell off, well, what were they? And these are in order of what they were on the letter last year. The first one that fell off was electronic payment systems. And interestingly, NCUA added regional electronic payment systems to their budget and staffing in 2022. It took them a very long time to get those positions announced and filled. As a matter of fact, I don't think they've even filled all of them, although they've filled some of them. And so why did they add that last year? Because of Venmo, because of Zelle, because of all the interactions that credit unions are having to their systems because of fintech. They realized they needed the staff, which is great. But it's also great they took it off the priority list. That doesn't mean that you won't find these people on your exam team, although there are very, very few of them. So it would be like losing the lottery if they do show up. Although another way of looking at it is that it'd be like winning the lottery, because maybe they can point out some things that will help you in that regard. The second item that fell off, which is Bank Secrecy Act, which was a perpetual item on here. So it's interesting that they took it off, and maybe the take is, well, credit unions know we always have to do this, and why list it here? Which is probably makes a lot of sense. But it's also interesting that the same year they take it off as a priority is the same year that they added higher graded BSA specialists to the budget. Okay, so it's a priority forever, and then it's not a priority when you add more resources, which makes me tilt my head and say, okay, what does that mean? What that probably means is these added resources are more of an internal function at NCUA to promote specialists and give them higher pay and create a career path for this important discipline. And it's less likely that it means NCUA is going to be increasing their footprint in this arena, in this area, because their footprint is already pretty high. The next item that fell off was capital adequacy. And so the new rule went in place last year, which is why they highlighted it in the priorities. Since it's no longer a new rule, they took it off, and NCUA is far more concerned this year about interest rate risk and liquidity. And who knows, maybe they even listened and took to heart the fact that I was saying they had too many priorities, so they took it off. It's possible. All right, so capital adequacy is off. Lastly, CECL fell off. Implementation is now required. And with all the coverage that's on this topic, I'm not surprised to say that it's basically a non-event for my clients. And it's another good move to take this off the list. Another one that fell off the list is LIBOR. And that's pretty much resolved. So they felt they didn't need to report on it anymore. And the last one that fell off was on in 2022 for the first time ever. And that was loan participation. So that is now gone. Why did that hit the list in 2022? Because loan participations were going through the roof, and NCUA wanted to take a look at it, get their arms around it. The fact that it fell off is good, because that means the exams essentially revealed that it was being done in a safe and sound manner, which is further evidenced by the fact that NCUA is proposing loosening that rule. They proposed a rule that would loosen that and loosen the rule on eligible obligations this past December. So watch for that coming down the pike. It's good that it fell off, and it's good that they're considering a more reasonable rule in this regard. So under there's only 6 priorities. I'm going to say not so fast. They also snuck in what would be a 7th priority under succession planning into the other update category. So there's really 6 priorities plus succession planning. If you think back, so I've done podcasts and blogs on the fact that I don't think that they need a regulation on succession planning. Board member Rodney Hood, when the proposed rule came out about a year ago, indicated he thought it should be handled in guidance. Well, here they are handling it in guidance, and I'll speak more to what's in and required in that when I do my podcast on what's in the letter. Right now, I'm saying what fell out and why. All right, so before I sign off on this quick take, I will quickly run through what are in the priorities, and you'll get more details from me and my team on this in a future podcast. But there are 6 priorities in order. Interest rate risk is number 1 on NCUA's list of supervisory priorities. Liquidity risk is number 2. Credit risk is number 3. Fraud protection is number 4. Cybersecurity is number 5. And consumer financial protection is number 6. Although the language there has more words on it than the other 5, that's all I'll say about these 6 priorities. Hint, hint, while consumer financial protection is listed last, the language there on share overdrafts is quite interesting, and I will speak more to that on my more detailed podcast on the priority letter. That's it. This is Mark Treichel with a quick take on why you should be paying attention to what fell out of the priorities, as well as what's in the priorities, which I'll speak to down the road. Have a great day. And as always, thanks for listening. This is Mark Treichel signing off with Flying Colors.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of With Flying Colors. Subscribe on your favorite podcast app to hear future episodes where subject matter experts of all varieties will provide tips on how to achieve success with NCUA. If you would like to learn more about how we assist credit unions, check out our services at marktreichel.com.